Fairport Convention are an English folk rock and electric folk band. Formed in 1967, they are widely regarded as the most important group in the English folk rock movement. Their seminal album Liege Lief is considered to have launched the electric folk or English folk rock movement, which provided a distinctively English identity to rock music and helped awaken much wider interest in traditional music in general. The large number of personnel who have been part of the band are among the most highly regarded and influential musicians of their era and have gone on to participate in a large number of significant bands, or enjoyed important solo careers. Since 1979, they have hosted the Attribution Festival, which is the largest such annual event in England. Individually and collectively, the members of Fairport Convention have received numerous awards recognizing their contribution to music and culture. As of 2014, they continue to record and tour. History, origins: bassist Ashley Hutchings met guitarist Simon Nicol in North London in 1966 when they both played in the Ethnic Shuffle Orchestra. They rehearsed on the floor above Nicol's father's medical practice in a house called Fairport on Fortis Green in Muswell Hill, North London, which lent its name to the group they formed together as Fairport Convention in 1967 with Richard Thompson on guitar and Sean Frater on drums. After their first performance at St Michael's Church Hall in Golders Green, northwest London on May 27, 1967, they had their first of many line-up changes as one member of the audience, drummer Martin Lamble, convinced the band that he could do a better job than Frater and replaced him. They soon added a female singer, Judy Dybel, which gave them a distinctive sound among the many London bands of the period. 1967–69, the first three albums, Fairport Convention were soon playing regularly at underground venues such as UFO and the Electric Garden, which later became the Middle-earth Club. After only a few months, they caught the attention of manager Joe Boyd, who secured them a contract with Polydor Records. Boyd suggested they augment the lineup with another male vocalist. Singer Ian Matthews joined the band, and their first album, Fairport Convention, was recorded in late 1967 and released in June 1968. At this early stage, Fairport looked to American folk and folk rock acts such as Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan, and the Byrds for material and inspiration. The name Fairport Convention, and the use of two lead vocalists led many new listeners to believe that they were an American act, earning them the nickname the British Jefferson Airplane during this period. After disappointing album sales, they signed a new contract with Island Records. Before their next recording, Judy Dybel was replaced by the band with Sandy Denny, a folk singer who had previously recorded as a soloist and with Strawbs. Denny, a unregistered trademark, distinctive voice, described by Clive James as a open space, low volume, high intensity, a unregistered trademark, is one of the characteristics of two albums released in 1969, What We Did on Our Holidays and Unhelvbricking. These recordings marked the growth of much greater musicality and songwriting ability among the band. The first of these featured the Thompson-penned Meet on a Ledge, which became their second single and eventually the band's unofficial anthem. The second of these albums featured a guest appearance by Birmingham folk fiddler Dave Swarbrick on a recording of A Sailor's Life, a traditional song brought to the band by Denny from her folk club days. The recording of this track marked an important turning point for the band, sparking an interest in traditional music in Ashley Hutchings that led him to detailed research in the English Folk Dance and Song Society Library at Cecil Sharp House. This theme would become the basis for their next, much more ambitious, recording project. These two albums began to gain the band wider recognition. Radio DJ John Peel championed their music, playing their albums on his influential BBC shows. Peel also recorded a number of sessions which were later released as the album Heyday. They enjoyed some mainstream success when they entered the singles charts with Si Tu Dois Partir, a French-language version of Bob Dylan's If You Gotta Go, Go Now. The record just missed the top 20, but secured the band a slot on Top of the Pops, Britain's most popular television pop music programme at the time. In 1969, 4 members of the band, 1 uncredited and 3 with pseudonyms, featured as backing musicians on the album Love Chronicles by Scottish folk artist Al Stewart. Developing electric folk, On May 12, 1969, on the way home from a gig at Mother's, a club in Birmingham, Fairport's van crashed on the M1 motorway. Martin Lamble, aged only 19, and Jeannie Franklin, Richard Thompson's girlfriend, were killed. The rest of the band suffered injuries of varying severity. They nearly decided to disband and Matthews left, eventually to form Matthews Southern Comfort. However, they reconvened with Dave Mattax taking over drumming duties and Dave Swarbrick, having made contribution to Untitled Chapter, now joined as a full member. Boyd set the band up in a rented house in Farley Chamber Lane near Winchester in Hampshire, where they recuperated and worked on the integration of British folk music into rock and roll that would result in the fourth album Liege Lief. Usually considered the high point of the band unregistered trademark's long career, Liege Lief was a huge leap forward in concept and musicality. The album consisted of 6 traditional tracks and 3 original compositions in a similar style. The traditional tracks included 2 sustained epics, Tam Lin, which was over 7 minutes in length, and Matty Groves, at over 8. There was a medley of 4 traditional tunes, arranged, and, like many of the tracks, enlivened, by Swarbrick unregistered trademark's energetic fiddle playing. The first side was bracketed by original compositions Come All Ye, and Farewell, Farewell, which, in addition to information on the inside of the gatefold cover on Hutchings' unregistered trademark research, explaining English folk traditions, helped give the record the feel of a concept album. Farewell, Farewell, and the final track Crazy Man Michael, also saw the full emergence of the distinctive songwriting talent of Thompson that was to characterize his contributions to the band and later solo career. The distinctive sound of the album came from the use of electric instruments and Mattax unregistered trademark disciplined drumming with Swarbrick unregistered trademark's fiddle accompaniment in a surprising and powerful combination of rock with the traditional. The entire band had reached new levels of musicality, with the fluid guitar playing of Thompson and the ethereal unregistered trademark vocal of Denny particularly characteristic of the sound of the album. As the reviewer from AllMusic put it, the album was characterized by the fusing of time-worn folk with electric instruments while honoring both the unregistered trademark. A few British bands had earlier experimented with playing traditional English songs on electric instruments, but Fairport Convention was the first English band to do this in a concerted and focused way. Although this is often referred to today as folk rock, the bands and press of the time used the term electric folk or English folk to distinguish it from more American-inspired music. The descriptions are now often used indiscriminately or forgotten. However, Fairport Convention's achievement was not to invent folk rock, but to create a distinctly English branch of the genre, which would develop alongside, and interact with, American-inspired music, but which can also be seen as a distinctively national reaction in opposition to it. Liege Lief was launched with a sellout concert in London's Royal Festival Hall late in 1969. It reached number 17 in the UK album chart, where it spent 15 weeks. 1970s, a time of change. Disagreements arose about the direction of the band in the wake of this success. Ashley Hutchings wanted to explore more traditional material and left to form 2 groups that would rival Fairport for significance in English folk rock, Steely Span and the Albion Band. Sandy Denny also left to found her own group Fotheringay. Dave Pegg took over on bass guitar and has been the group's one constant ever since, in an unbroken membership of over 4 decades. The band made no serious attempt to replace Denny, and, although she would briefly return, the sound of the band would now be characterized by male vocals. Despite these changes, the band produced another album, Full House, which was remarkably successful as a project. Like its predecessor, it combined traditional songs, including a powerful rendition of Sir Patrick Spens, with original compositions. The latter benefited from the writing partnership of Thompson and Swarbrick, most obviously on a Walk a While unregistered trademark which would become a concert favorite. Despite the loss of Denny, the band still possessed 4 vocalists, including the emerging voices of Nicol and Swarbrick, whose tones would dominate the sound of this period. It was favorably reviewed in Britain and America, drawing comparisons with the band from Rolling Stone magazine, who declared that a Fairport Convention is better than every unregistered trademark. The album reached number 13 in the UK chart and stayed in the chart for 11 weeks. The same year the band released a single, Now Be Thankful, and made its American debut, touring with Traffic and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. In the recurring pattern, soon after the album's release Thompson left the band to pursue other projects and eventually his solo career. This left Simon Nicol as the only original member, and Dave Swarbrick emerged as the leading force in the band. In 1970 the members and their families had moved into the Angel, a former pub in Hertfordshire, and this inspired the next album, Angel Delight, the band's first to chart in the US, peaking at number 200 on the Billboard 200 and their only top 10 album in the UK. The next project was an ambitious folk rock opera developed by Swarbrick, based on the life of John Babacom Lee, the man they couldn't, unregistered trademark T. Hanger, unregistered trademark, and released with the title Babacom Lee. The concept format, originally without clear tracks, excited considerable press interest, and it received good airplay in the United States, where it reached number 195. A version was produced by the BBC for TV in 1975 with narration by Melvyn Bragg. These two albums were also notable as the first time that Fairport had recorded consecutively with the same lineup, but inevitably stability did not last. Simon Nicol left early in late 1971 to join Ashley Hutchings' Albion Band, and he was soon followed by Matt Axe. Only Pegg and Swarbrick remained, and the following few years have been dubbed Fairport Confusion as a bewildering sequence of band members came and went, but by 1973 Matt Axe had returned and two former members of Sandy Dennis Fotheringay had joined the band, Dennis' Australian husband Trevor Lucas on vocals and guitar and American Jerry Donahue on lead guitar. From these lineups the band produced two studio albums, Rosie, notable for the Swarbrick pen title track, and Nine, the ninth studio album by the band. The last of these contained writing contributions by Lucas to 5 of the 9 tracks, which together with Donahue's country influences and outstanding guitar pyrotechnics gave the album a very distinctive feel. Denny rejoined the band in 1974, and there were considerable expectations, both artistic and commercial, placed on this lineup. Denny was featured on the album Rising for the Moon, which became the band's highest US chart album when it reached number 143 on the Billboard 200 and the first album to reach the top 100 in the UK since Angel Delight, reaching No. 52. During the Rising sessions, Matt Axe fell out with producer Glyn Johns and was replaced by former Grease band drummer Bruce Rowland. Poor UK sales for Rising did not aid morale and, despite the relative success of the lineup, Lucas and Donahue left the band, as did Denny in 1976. She died aged 31, in 1978, of a cerebral hemorrhage after falling down a flight of stairs. Rowland, Pegg, and Swarbrick fulfilled their remaining contractual obligations to Island Records by turning what had originally been a Swarbrick solo effort into the album Got Low Gear under the name Fairport in the UK, and as Fairport featuring Dave Swarbrick in the US, and with various session players and production by Simon Nicol, who subsequently rejoined the band. They then signed with Vertigo, but record sales continued to decline, and after producing 2 of 4 contracted albums, The Bonny Bunch of Roses and Tippler's Tales, Vertigo bought them out of their contract. It is claimed by members of the band that this was the only recording money they had seen up to that point. 1979 €85, the Cripredy era. By 1979 the mainstream market for folk rock had largely disappeared, the band had no record deal, and Dave Swarbrick had been diagnosed with tinnitus, which made loud electric gigs increasingly difficult. Fairport decided to disband. He played a farewell tour and a final outdoor concert on August 4 in Cripredy, the Oxfordshire village where Dave and Christine Pegg lived. The finality of this occasion was mitigated by the announcement that the band would meet for a reunion. No record company wanted to release the live recordings of the tour and concert, so the Peggs founded Woodworm Records, which would be the major outlet for the band in the future. Members continued to take part in occasional gigs, particularly in festivals in continental Europe, and after a year they staged a reunion concert in Cripredy which became the annual Cripredy Festival. Over the next few years, it grew rapidly and emerged as the major mechanism for sustaining the band. In August 1981, the band held their annual reunion concert at Broughton Castle, rather than the usual Crippedy location. The concert was recorded, and released on the 1982 album Out on the Ledge. The Peggs continued to record and release the Crippedy concerts as official bootlegs. These were supplemented by New Year's gigs in minor locations including the Half Moon at Putney and the Gloucester Leisure Centre. In 1983 the magazine Fairport Fanatics was created, a testament to the continued existence of a dedicated fan base. The remaining members pursued their own lives and careers outside of the band. Nicole, Pegg, and Matt Axe had recorded and toured with Richard and Linda Thompson at times in the 1970s, and did so again during this period, culminating in their appearance on the Shoot Out the Lights album and tour in 1982. Bruce Rowlands gave up the music business and moved to Denmark, and as a result Dave Matt Axe returned as drummer for Fairport unregistered trademark's occasional gigs. Dave Pegg was the first of several Fairporters to join Jethro Tull, which gave him well-paying steady employment. Simon Nicol had teamed up with Dave Swarbrick in a highly regarded acoustic duo, but this partnership was made difficult by Swarbrick unregistered trademark's sudden decision to move to Scotland, where, from 1984 he began to focus on his new project Whippersnapper. In 1985, Pegg, Nicol and Matt Axe found that they all had some free time and an available studio belonging to Pegg. They decided that they needed some new material to add to the catalogue that had been suspended in 1978. As Swarbrick was unavailable, the selection of traditional tunes was more difficult than for past albums and there was a need for a replacement fiddle player and some vocals. Pegg and Nicol took over arranging duties on an instrumental medley and the band turned to sometime Albion band members, jazz and folk violinist Rick Sanders and singer-songwriter Kathy Lezoff. They also had the help of ex-member Richard Thompson. Thompson and Lezoff contributed songs and took part in the recordings. Also important to the album was Ralph McTell, who contributed one song and co-wrote one track each with Nicol and Matt Axe. The former, the hiring fire unregistered trademark, would become a stage fixture of the future Fairport. The resulting album Liege Lief was generally well received in the music and national press, but caused some tension with Swarbrick, who refused to play any of the new material at the 1985 Crippedy Festival. Nevertheless, the decision to reform the band, without Swarbrick, was taken by the other three remaining members. Rick Sanders was invited to join, along with guitarist, composer, arranger and multi-instrumentalist Martin Alcock. Nicol, with his developing baritone voice, took over the main share of the vocal duties. This lineup was to last 11 years, the longest period of membership stability in the band unregistered trademark's history so far. 1986 97, stability. The new band began a hectic schedule of performing in Britain and the world and prepared material for a new album. The result was the all-instrumental expletive Delighted. This showcased the virtuosity of Sanders and Alcock, but perhaps inevitably was not popular with all fans. This was followed by the recording in real time, Live 87, which managed to capture the energy and power of the new Fairport on stage, despite the fact that it was recorded in the studio with audience reactions dubbed on. In this period the band were playing to larger and larger audiences, both on tour and at Crippedy, and it was very productive in terms of recording. Fairport had the considerable composing and arranging skills of Alcock and, to fill the gap created by a lack of a songwriter in the band, they turned to some of the most talented available in the contemporary folk scene. The results were Red and Gold, The 5 Seasons and Jewel in the Crown, the last of which was judged their best-selling and undoubtedly finest album in years unregistered trademark. At this point, with Matt Axe busy with other projects, the band shifted to an acoustic format for touring and released the unplugged Old, New, Borrow Blue as a Fairport acoustic convention unregistered trademark in 1996. For a while the four-piece acoustic lineup ran in parallel with the electric format. When Alcock left the band, he was replaced by Chris Leslie on vocals, mandolin and fiddle. This meant that for the first time since reforming, The band had a recognized songwriter who contributed significantly to the band's output on the next album Who Knows Where the Time Goes, particularly the rousing John Gordy unregistered trademark. By the time of the 1997 30-year anniversary festival at Cripredy, the new Fairport had been in existence for over a decade and contributed a significant chapter to the history of the band. 1998 present. In 1998, Dave Mattacks moved to the USA and Jerry Conway took over on drums and percussion. Fairport produced 2 more studio albums for Woodworm Records, The Wood and the Wire and XXXV. Then for over the next till they established a new label, Matty Grooves Records. In this period the band toured extensively in the UK, Europe, Australasia, Europe, the USA and Canada, and staged a major fundraiser for Dave Swarbrick at the Birmingham Symphony Hall. In 1998, the band began its association with the Breton musician Alan Simon. They have performed and recorded all his rock operas, including the Excalibur trilogy and Anne de Breton. 2007 was their 40th anniversary year and they celebrated by releasing a new album, Sense of Occasion. They performed the whole of the Liege Lief album live at Cripredy, since 2004 renamed Fairport's Cripredy Convention, featuring the 1969 lineup of Dave Swarbrick, Ashley Hutchings, Dave Mattacks, Simon Nicol and Richard Thompson, with singer-songwriter Chris Wilde taking the place of Sandy Denny. Footage of the festival, although not the Liege Lief performance, was released as part of a celebratory DVD. The band's first official YouTube video appeared in April 2008. Edited from footage shot for the DVD, the 9-minute mini-documentary includes interviews with Lulu, Jules Holland, Seth Lakeman, Mike Harding, Jeff Hughes and Frank Skinner. In 2011, the band released a new studio album Festival Bell, the first new album in 4 years. This was followed in 2012 by Babacom Lee Live Again recorded live during the 2011 tour revisiting the Babacom Lee album first issued in 1971. Also in 2012 came by popular request a reworking in the studio of a number of the most popular songs in the band's repertoire. Public recognition. The mainstream media has increasingly recognized Fairport Convention's historical importance. They received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2002 BBC Radio 2 Folk Awards. In the same year Free Reed Records, an independent label, released Fairport Unconventional, a 4-CD boxed set of rare and unreleased recordings from the band's 35-year career. At the 2006 BBC Radio 2 Folk Awards they received an award when their seminal album Liege Lief was voted most influential folk album of all time by Radio 2 listeners. At the 2007 BBC Radio 2 Folk Awards Fairport Convention received an award recognising the late Sandy Denny and the band for a Euro favourite folk track of all time, a Euro unregistered trademark for Who Knows Where the Time Goes. Personnel. Members. Current members: Simon Nicol, a Euro guitar, lead vocal; Dave Pegg, a Euro bass guitar, mandolin, backing vocal; Rick Sanders, a Euro fiddles, occasional keyboards; Chris Leslie, a Euro fiddle, mandolin, bouzouki, lead vocal; Jerry Conway, a Euro drums and percussion. Former members: Richard Thompson, a Euro guitar, vocal; Ashley Hutchings, a Euro bass guitar; Sean Frater, drums; Martin Lamble, a Euro drums; Judy Dybel, a Euro vocal, auto harp, piano, recorder; Ian Matthews, a Euro vocal; Sandy Denny, a Euro vocal, guitar, piano; Dave Swarbrick, a Euro fiddle, mandolin, vocal; Dave Mattacks, a Euro drums, keyboards, bass guitar; Roger Hill, guitar, vocal; Tom Farnell, drums; David Ree, guitar; Trevor Lucas, a Euro guitar, vocal; Jerry Donahue, a Euro guitar; Paul Warren, drums; Bruce Rowland, a Euro drums; Dan Abraz, a Euro guitar; Bob Brady, piano; Roger Burridge, mandolin, fiddle; Martin Olcock, a Euro guitar, mandolin, keyboard, vocal. Lineups, timeline. Discography, see Fairport Convention discography. Citations. Sources. Further reading. External links, Fairport Convention's website.